Welcome to the homework walkthrough for lesson 1.1.2. How does it change? To start, you can see me on the screen getting into my ebook. I'm going to go to chapter 1, and it was lesson 1.1.2. How does it change? Again, if you need to review it all, anything that we have done in class, you may do so. Here are some of the keywords that we went through. Area would be one of them, and perimeter. So if you need a refresher of what both of those mean, that would be the place to go. I'm going to scroll down to the review and preview section. One of the things that you need to do is get used to setting up your homework in your math notebook. So I'm going to show you right now how to get into a habit of using your notebook appropriately. So you can see on the screen, I just have a piece of loose leaf paper, but let's just pretend that this is your first piece of notebook paper. So one of the things that I always suggest doing is I suggest starting it out with some type of a heading. So to begin, you are doing lesson 1.1.2, so that would be a great place to start by labeling the top of your paper 1.1.2. If you wanted to, you could also put how does it change, because that's the title of the lesson. So you could write how does it change, if sometimes it's easier for you to look at the words versus the only the numbers. Okay. You already know that we went through 1.5 through 1.9 in class, and if you go back to your textbook, which for the homework should be on page 10 in your textbook, or if you're choosing to use the ebook, let's go back to the ebook here. You can see that you're starting with question 110. It looks like it's 1-10, but it actually means it's just question 10. So you do have the option of putting 1-10, or you could just put 10 like that, the question that you're actually working on. So the important things here again to remember are that you're starting with the heading 1.1.2, how does it change, and that you use this margin over here, okay, the left margin, to keep track of what questions you're answering. So to give you an example, we're just going to use the document camera like I've been using here, and we're just going to go back and forth a little bit between the ebook, like you see here, and what I'm actually going to be writing down. So let's begin with question 10, right here. It says, Janelle wants to challenge you to a toothpick and tiles game. Okay, this is also described in problem 1.8, which was done in class, so this should be pretty familiar to you. It says, using exactly 4 tiles, solve her challenges below. Justify your answers with pictures and labels, okay? So here you have 110A. That's going to be your first problem. So if you go back, you're going to want to write 110 and then A, because that's going to be the first problem that you're going to be solving, if that makes sense. So let's go back to 110A. It says, create a tile pattern where the number of toothpicks is exactly double the number of tiles. Okay? Create a tile pattern where the number of toothpicks is exactly double the number of tiles. What you're going to want to do is, hopefully you're doing this in pencil, because if you don't get it right away, you should be able to go back and correct. So if I'm going to create a tile pattern where the number of toothpicks is more than double the number of tiles, I'm going to use this area on my paper to create some type of a drawing. Now, unfortunately, I can't really give you the answer to the homework, but what I can show you is in the ebook, there is the option of using some type of help, okay? Now this help goes in different levels. You'll see it. You'll see 110A and 110B. You'll see both of the questions. So here you go. You see 110A, where it's asking you, like it was before, to create a tile pattern where the number of toothpicks is exactly double the number of tiles. Here's your first hint. Remember that you have 4 tiles. Okay? Here's your second hint. Since the number of toothpicks is double the number of tiles, your pattern should have 4 by 2 or 8 toothpicks. That's another hint. Okay? So you can choose to go through and use these hints. As you're going along, again, feel free to pause this video so that you can take your time to solve the problems. So the first one, take some time to solve that now. When you're ready to move on, I'll be reading question 10B. Question 10B says, create a tile pattern. Here's 10B. Create a tile pattern where the number of toothpicks is more than double the number of tiles. So you're going to have to change your tile pattern. Again, if you need help, you're welcome to click on the hints or the help, whatever it is. So here you come to 110B. If you need a hint, it says remember that you have 4 tiles. There is more than one answer. That's interesting. Find one shape that uses 4 tiles and more than 8 toothpicks. Sometimes as well, for the hints, depending on how far you think you need to go, there are some manipulatives. So here you have the option to create some type of a shape where your toothpicks would be more than double the number of tiles. So you're going to want to create some type of a shape that makes sense to you where it would be more than double the tiles. So you can move these around in any way that you want to help you solve the problem. Remember, you have the 4 tiles, and then each side of the shape is going to count as a toothpick, each side that's exposed. So for example, if this shape was by itself, it would be 1 tile and 1, 2, 3, 4 toothpicks around, if that helps you at all. So go ahead and get started on 110B. When you're ready to move on, we'll be looking at 111. Okay? In this lesson, you looked at the number of tiles and number of toothpicks used to form shapes made of square tiles as you played the toothpick and tiles game. The math words that also describe the number of tiles and toothpicks are area and perimeter. Remember that if those are still unfamiliar to you, you are able to go up and click on the terms area and perimeter right up here to give yourself kind of an example to help you out. So for here, it also gives you the suggestion to read the math notes box, which is up here as well. Okay. Here are the questions you're going to be answering. For 111A, it says find the area and perimeter of the figure below. Take a look here. I'm going to set this up for you. Okay. Let's pretend that we did 110A and 110B. Okay, so I would have my answers in 2 different areas. Now I'm on to question 11. Okay. And question 11 also has an A and a B. So remember, for question A, I was to find the area and perimeter of the figure. So for my answer, I might write area is equal to, like so, and perimeter is equal to. So whatever I get for my answers, I'm going to write them there. For 111B, it says find the area and perimeter of the rectangle below. So for A, this is where you're looking, and for B, this is where you're looking. Again, feel free to pause at any time because I just read it to you and you're getting ready to work. So pause it to solve 111B. Now for 111C right here, it says, now design your own shape with 5 square tiles. Record the perimeter and area. when I get to my homework, okay, I should have done area and perimeter of A and area and perimeter of B. So this is how you're going to want to set it up. So for C, I'm going to draw some type of a figure that has 5 square tiles, and I'm going to record the area and perimeter. So let me just draw some tiles here. It's made with 5 tiles. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So I can figure out what my area is, and I might just want to write it to the side here. I want to make sure that I am very, very purposeful with how I'm writing my area and my perimeter. Okay? So that's to get you started on 111C. Remember, there are the hints, so you are definitely able to click on those to help you at any time. Here's another example of one of the hints that you might be able to see, where you can move those shapes around a little bit before you draw them on your paper if that's more helpful to you. Make sense? Pause it at any time when you need to solve the problem. Moving ahead, looking at 112, it says, consider the first 3 figures of the pattern below. For A, on your own paper, draw what figure 4 in this pattern should look like. For B, using words, describe what figure 5 and 6 should look like. And for 112C, using words, describe how the pattern is changing. Okay? For 113, the question reads, Vi is trying to figure out how a square can be divided into 4 equal parts. Show her at least 3 different ways to divide a square into 4 equal parts. So if you go back to your homework sheet here and you're working on 113, there's a couple different ways to show this type of work, okay? If she's trying to figure out how a square can be divided into 4 equal parts and you need to show 3 different ways to divide the square, you're going to want to show it with a picture. So you're going to want to draw 3 different squares. Now that's more of a rectangle shape, but you're going to want to draw just kind of an idea of 3 different squares here and how those can be divided 3 different ways. For 114, it reads, the band students at Tolt Junior High and Maywood Middle School have been invited to participate in the Evergreen Music Festival in Seattle. Each group has decided to have a car wash to raise money to pay for the trip. Use the graph below to answer the following questions. So you can definitely use this graph. It's also on page 11 in your textbook if you have your textbook handy. So here are the questions. For 14A, which school washed more cars? How do you know? So here's Tolt Junior High and Maywood Middle School on the graph over here. You can see on the horizontal axis, that goes with the number of cars washed. And on the vertical axis, that goes with the amount of money that they earned. 14B reads, which school has raised the most money so far? How do you know? And part C says, for an additional challenge, find how much each school is charging to wash a car. Show your work to justify your answer. Again, if you need any additional assistance, you can always use the help option. But until then, that would be the homework walkthrough for lesson 1.1.2.